What is faux engagement?
Well, I think the best example of faux engagement was in the early days of online learning. There were professors who would have a setup in the online environment where you would have to required to put a post out there about some question, and then you were supposed to respond, and everybody in class was supposed to respond, and they got a quote-unquote engagement score by how many times they responded. Even if it was an innocuous comment like, good job, or I agree, or something like that. At best, in many cases, it was thoughtless. At worst, it was disingenuous. And so they would get at the end of the semester an engagement score based on the number of posts rather than the quality of the posts. Now, we've grown past that, but not everybody has. And that would be, in my view, faux engagement, pretending to engage, and frankly, the faculty member is pretending that there is in fact engagement going on in their classroom or online classroom. Same thing has happened with Zoom meetings. With Zoom meetings, you can turn on your Zoom camera and act like you're there and occasionally give an emoji with a clap or something like that, and it appears like you're engaged when you may be doing other work or doing things like that. And so I think there's a great deal of faux engagement that went on in the Zoom world. And frankly, you understand why people do it. It makes sense, but leaders are fooling themselves if they think that's true engagement, as well as the people that are on the other end participating in the environment. So that would be what I consider faux engagement. You're pretending like you are engaged when in fact you are not engaged. And over time, that builds this kind of lack of commitment to what's going on. In fact, you may not even know what's going on in either one of those environments.
I think it applies to not only the virtual environment, but it obviously applies to the physical environment. And it's a matter of where do we set the bar for engagement? So if employees felt engaged, how in the world would we get a score of 15% of employees responding that they don't feel engaged in the U.S.? How in the world would that happen if engagement practices were truly there and they truly felt it? I think the idea of leaders asking their people, well, how are you feeling today? Oh, good. And they take that as an affirmative sense of engagement. It's like an emoji clapping on the screen. That's a very low bar. What else is on their mind? How are they really feeling about how they're appreciated or contributing to the overall mission? Those are the kind of questions that have to be asked so that leaders get a true sense of how engaged employees really are.
One of the other things we talk about in the book, when we're talking about engagement, particularly in the context of diversity, you look at the idea of engagement, of bringing together people that are of different orientations, belief-wise or gender-wise, or what, you pick whatever category you like. But you've got to make sure, as a leader, that you've got a diverse set of people, different points of view on a particular issue that you're talking about in order to create true engagement. Otherwise, you can fool yourself into thinking that you've engaged when you really have only engaged part of the organization or part of the sentiment on a particular thorny issue or concern. In fact, there was an article just yesterday in the Wall Street Journal publicizing a recent study done that said boards of directors that have an equal balance or roughly equal balance of Democrats and Republicans financially perform better than ones just composed of Democrats or just composed of Republicans. And I think that's a part of engagement that's important as well, is structurally, are you bringing the right people together to have that true honest dialogue and discussion and work out differences, if you will.